Are there certain locations or markets or sources that you found to be really effective in actually having that top of funnel sourcing?
For us, it's referrals. And so what we've been able to do is typically we see anywhere between 30 to 45% of our new hires coming from our referral source. But also what we've noticed is that the highest quality talent is also coming from our referral source, which makes intuitive sense, right? If you're thriving within our organization, you're more likely to refer someone. And if you're not doing well, or if you're not a top performer, you're less likely to. So what we've done is we've created structured outbound referral syncs where we'll identify an individual who's a top performer within the organization. We'll pull individuals from their LinkedIn connections that match our ICP. We'll come prepared, or our recruiters will come prepared to a meeting, and we'll let them know what the referral bonus is. We'll share all of the outbound cadence with them, and we'll ask them if they're interested in participating. So that to us has been the best channel. In terms of geo and location, we've been fairly geographically confined to certain areas within EMEA. And so we're typically looking for countries that have a similar cost of living as Portugal. And that list is really finite. My suggestion is, because if you are a company that is in a remote capacity currently, or potentially in the future, if you have that ability, to first look at your infrastructure to make sure you can support hiring talent in a new geo, because that's a challenge. But if you can, and you have that ability, to start unlocking new geos outside of your core headquarters or base.
Cool. Yeah, for us, I think something that's traditionally underlooked is essentially like startup founder profiles. So I think, over the last decade, there has been a lot of interest in startups, and, a lot of folks have decided to go and stake it out on their own, right? Maybe after college or after a few years in the workforce. And, several of these startups do fail, and ultimately there is a wide range of, company names and experiences, etc. But we found that pool, while it's pretty hard to maybe traditionally find them on LinkedIn, but if we can actually get to those candidates, they tend to have a breadth of experience that actually do work at our kind of scaling and growth stage of our startup. Airtable, even though we're at Series E stage, it still needs a lot of engineering talent that has that kind of breadth, ability to ramp up quickly on multiple domains, and not necessarily specialists in any particular one role. So if you can get to just startup founders, ex-startup founders, etc., that seems to be a unique archetype that I think seems to be underlooked.
I think to sort of build on that too, I have noticed a decent number of folks who weren't necessarily founding a startup over the past year, but maybe spent a lot of time just working on side projects. And I think they were sort of underemployed, but now they're sort of coming back to the market. And so if you can find out who those people were that maybe took the past year, a couple months off, they are looking for jobs and they're ready. Some of them are senior, some of them are junior. There's a pretty good mix there, I would say. And I want to also say that I think referrals are also huge. Can't emphasize it enough, especially at an early stage. If your company doesn't have the name recognition of a Facebook, or even Airtable or Notion or Clubhouse, all these companies that have that household name recognition, you need that support from referrals or from communities or networks that you're a part of to have some social proof for your company. Otherwise, who are you? And so I think trying to find a way to bridge that connection and find a connection with the candidate you're trying to reach out to, especially if they're senior, really helps a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. And actually for senior candidates, one thing I would like to add is that oftentimes it can seem as if you have this role that you're looking to fill, and you go through all kinds of candidates and try to place that role. But I think for senior candidates, you need to be a bit more flexible about adapting that the hole you have or the gap that you're trying to fill to the candidate profile. And I think we've definitely found that for senior candidates, it's not we're not willing to move or anything. It's often a dialogue, right? Understanding this candidate strengths, maybe shifting what we're looking for to kind of fit that profile. We see that for senior leadership, senior ICs, as well as like manager roles that we kind of need to do this for.